The last part of this particular 1.2 is the methods of classification. So point number 6 and point number 7, let us talk about these two particular points. The very first method of the classification is DNA sequences. In DNA sequencing, we will be talking about DNA based sequences between different species, between different organisms. The bases are the chemicals that are present in DNA. You will be discussing in detail about DNA in topic 4. So at this level, you just have to remember that DNA is a molecule that consists of chemicals. Those chemicals are known as the bases, and there are 4 bases present in DNA whose whose letters are A, T, C, G. You don't have to remember that what does A stands for, what does T stands for. You only have to remember the letter of these 4 bases. So A, T, C, G. These bases are chemicals that are present in DNA, and these bases are present in a specific sequence in each and every species. So different species are having different base sequence present in them. One of the characteristic feature of DNA sequencing is it is the most accurate and latest method of classification. There are also some other methods of classification such as amino acid sequences in the proteins, morphology and anatomy, but between all of these methods of classification, DNA base sequence method of classification is the most accurate and the latest method of classification. Now comes the most important thing. The more similar the base sequence of DNA, okay, like you are provided with different species, and some of those species are having similar base sequence, it means that those two organisms that are having similar base sequence are more closely related organisms, and this particular thing indicating that they share a common ancestor in the history, just like the one we have studied in point number 5 of 1.2, in which we have talked about evolutionary relationship, that organisms present in one group having the common ancestor because they are sharing common features. So same case is here. Organisms that are having similar base sequence, they are closely related to each other, which means that they are having a common ancestor. But if there are differences in the base sequence of two species, which means that they are not closely related to each other, they are distantly related to each other. And when they are not closely related, it means that they don't share a common ancestor. Let us do one of the question with the help of which you can easily understand this particular point. Table shows a section of DNA taken from 4 different organisms. Mean 4 different species are there: W, X, Y and then Z. And the base sequences is given. You can see there the bases are there: C, A, T and then G. All of these are the chemicals present in DNA, and these are only the 4 chemicals, but their sequence can be different in each and every species. Question that they are asking is which 2 organisms are most distantly related to each other. It means we have to find out those 2 organisms that are not closely related to each other. It means that we have to find out those organisms that are having differences in the base sequence of their DNA. Option 1 is W and X. So first of all, let us talk about W and X. The very first sequence is W is having C, X is having G. So one of the differences there. Second difference is also there. One is having A, other is having T. So 2 differences. And then the third difference is here. One is having C, other is having the G. The fourth and the fifth difference. So W and X are having 5 differences in their base sequences of DNA. If we talk about the second option, W and Z. So between W and Z, the first base is same, there is a difference in the second base, and then the second difference is there. After the second difference there is a third difference. So between W and Z there are 3 differences present between these 2 different species. For X and Y, if we talk about X and Y, the very first difference is there, and then this is the second difference, and the third difference is there. So X and Y are also having the 3 differences among these 2 different species. For X and Z that are there, so between X and Z, this is the first difference, the second difference is also there, the third difference, and then the fourth difference. So between Z and X there are 4 differences present there, and W and X are having the 5 differences. So the organism that are most distantly related to each other is the A1, in which W and X are given, between which there are 5 differences present there. If question says which 2 organisms are most closely related to each other, so that can be W and Z and X and Y. These 2 pair of organisms are closely related with each other. Obviously, there will be only one correct option in case of closely related organisms. So you have to find out that. In this way, there will be question related to DNA based sequence that we use to classify organism, that we use to identify organisms that are closely related and the organisms that are not closely related to each other. Or we can also say the organisms that are having a common ancestor and not having a common ancestor. Same is the case with amino acid sequence in the protein. Protein is made up of sequences of amino acid, and each species, each organism is having different amino acid sequence in the protein. If two species are having a similar sequence, they are closely related and they are having a common ancestor, just like the same thing we have just studied for DNA sequencing. Similarly, for morphology and anatomy, both of these terms are related to the structure, both of these terms are related to the shape of the organism. Similar the structure, similar the shape, closely related organisms they are and having a common ancestor. If the structure is not similar, it means they are not closely related, they don't share a common ancestor, and they would be distantly related to each other. So this is how the things are they related to 1.2 concept and uses of classification system. Still, if you have any kind of query, any kind of confusion in your mind, you can ask in the comment section, or you can also reach out to me with the help of WhatsApp number given there.